Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
Okay. Alrighty. Everyone, Wilson here for another... Oh, wow. For the first time ever, I think, the historical figure who I have up in the top right of my screen actually has something to do with the video I'm watching. So, pay attention, Winston, even though you know what happened. Alright. So, hello. If you're new to my channel, my name's Connor McJibbin. I like to react to YouTube, to a history channel. I like to react to history videos on YouTube from recommendations, both down in the comments and on the Discord, which you guys need to join. The link is at the top of the description, right below the original link to the video that I'm watching. In this case, why didn't Britain make peace after the fall of France? So please join that Discord. More the merrier. We have a nice time over there. Everyone's nice. Most of us are nice. Yeah, I'd love to have you. Pull up a chair. So let's get into it. Am I missing anything? Like, subscribe, dislike. If hey, dislikes do help me. If if it's an honest dislike and you don't like the video, like I got on the Trafalgar video, I was really I looked at that. I was kind of thinking like, what was I too tired? Was I maybe talking too much, pausing too much than I usually do? But yeah, dislikes help me out too sometimes to help me improve. So let's get right into it. Original video at the top link below of the description below. I can't talk right now. Let's get into it. Yeah, so I am a little... I'm sure a lot of it would... I cannot talk. A lot of it had to do with British pride, having not been conquered for 1,000 years. And maybe a lot had to do with hoping the Americans would come in eventually and save them. Yeah, I'm ready to learn. Make sure everything's ready, going, recording. You can see it. Let's do it. Hope you guys are doing well. Care about how you're all doing. My audience is doing. Emotions are a fickle thing. If you're not feeling good, maybe you will tomorrow. All right. Let's get into it.
When France fell to Germany in May 1940, Britain was left standing alone. Well, sort of alone. Alone in the sense of it was only Britain and all of its empire remaining in the fight. Irrespective,
True.
The United Kingdom's position at that point wasn't exactly enviable, and there were many politicians there who thought that fighting on was foolish. So, given Britain's outlook at this point, this raises the question: why didn't Britain make peace after the fall of France? So, as you will know, 1940 saw the German invasion of Denmark, Norway, the Benelux region and France, and to put it mildly, things didn't go well for the Allies. After the fall of Norway, Britain's Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain was under a lot of pressure to resign, and there were two candidates to succeed him.
Is that impressive or what?
I mean, 1940...
I can't... This is a short video. I can afford to pause more. Just... Didn't the whole goal of World War One and it ended up just being stalemates, losing thousands, tens of thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands, and not ever moving much in trench warfare. For Germany to just quickly do all of that and accomplish what they couldn't is impressive as hell.
He saw the German invasion of Denmark, Norway, the Benelux region and France, and to put it mildly, things didn't go well for the Allies. After the fall of Norway, Britain's Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain was under a lot of pressure to resign, and there were two candidates to succeed him. Lord Halifax, who said no, thus narrowing it down to only one candidate, Winston Churchill. During this time, the British government was divided as to whether or not it should continue the war.
Wait, sorry, who was the other candidate?
Lord Halifax, whose government was divided as to whether or not it should continue the war. So far, things hadn't exactly gone well, and the odds only seemed to be getting worse and worse. This was mostly because France was faring poorly at this point, which threw the British...
Is that just like a running joke? There's always... I think that's Napoleon. There's always Napoleon.
...worse and worse. This was mostly because France was faring poorly at this point, which threw the British strategy of letting the French get punched in the face until Britain could arm and train up an army of about 1.5 million men and send them to the continent, which was planned for about 1942. With France about to fall, Lord Halifax pushed to make peace and negotiate via Mussolini's government. This wasn't because Halifax thought that Britain was going to be conquered and Mosley put in charge or something, but because he didn't think that any victory was worth a World War I style war of attrition. As you'll know, Halifax's proposals went nowhere. But why was that the case? There were several reasons. The first was that Churchill and many in government didn't trust any treaty that Hitler was willing to sign.
Question. Wasn't Kennedy, he's the president who got assassinated. I don't know, a lot of you are European, but Europeans tend to know more about world history than Americans do, so maybe you do. But I believe Kennedy's father was a Nazi sympathizer. Let me know if I'm wrong. And he was the ambassador to the UK, I believe. And he was trying to make the same case as, what's his name?
As you'll know, Halifax's proposals went nowhere. But why was that the case? There were several reasons. The first was that Churchill and many in government didn't trust any treaty that Hitler was willing to sign. Furthermore, one of Germany's conditions for peace was the return of its former African and Asian colonies, which was not something that the Allies were willing to countenance. The second reason was that British military leadership was confident that they could, at worst, push Germany to a stalemate, and at best last until the German economy collapsed, just like in World War I. So for them, it was simply a case of keeping public morale up and not bankrupting the country by keeping the sea lanes open. This opinion was solidified when Italy joined the war and Britain decided to focus on Italy, the idea being that just like Austria-Hungary in the last World War, Germany would constantly have to bail them out. The third reason was that Britain was confident that Germany would eventually do something silly like invade the Soviet Union or do something that would pull the United States into the war.
I would have agreed with calling it silly, but after watching those tick videos, it wasn't that silly.
This wasn't due to some hunch, but because Britain and Polish codebreakers had heard it from the Germans themselves. And to help secure support from the US, Britain was sure to fight the war on as many fronts as possible. For example, by quickly sending troops to Greece when it was invaded. This wasn't because they thought they could stop its fall, but because it made it clear that they were the ones defending smaller nations' independence or on the side of international stability, which would indirectly put pressure on American politicians to eventually do something. Britain's leadership didn't believe that it could conventionally defeat Germany, but that it simply had to hold out until about 1942 until Germany made a mistake, which it did in 1941, and soon afterwards its ally Japan did the same, bringing two monumental...
I'm not saying I do not know more about history than, first of all, 95% of the people on Discord and on my YouTube channel. Believe it or not, yeah, I've said this a few times, I graduated with a 4-year degree in history. I feel like I'm a terrible learner, and I just kind of do what I have to do to get passing grades, so I'm not placing my blame on any of the professors at St. John's in New York, in Queens, or at Providence College here in Providence. But I left with a degree feeling like I did not know nearly as much as someone with a degree in a subject should know. And so my first was that it wasn't exactly like they had to do it. I'm not going to go on and explain, but watching the Tick video, you can watch my reaction to it or go watch it about Germany's problem with oil. And in the end of it, this really wasn't as dumb of a choice as it was just one out of necessity.
1940 had to hold out until about 1942 until Germany made a mistake, which it did in 1941, and soon afterwards its ally Japan did the same, bringing two monumental allies into the conflict and tipping the scales. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, with a special thanks to my patrons, James Business.
Thank you, Patreons. Thank you for making History Matters. Awesome video. I love doing these History Matters videos now and then. I've done a lot of them. I'm even getting to the point where I'm worried that have I already seen this one, and I don't want to get halfway in. But yeah, I love reacting to these videos. I'm gonna get to more stuff. Don't worry, I got a lot of subscribers from watching those Alan Murray videos. So I want to make sure I can please everyone. And so if you want me to react to more of the stand-up, I'll go and make sure to check in the comment sections on those Al Murray video reactions and go into Discord so I can definitely see him there. Alrighty. I think this is my last video of the day. Say bye to Winston. Good job, Winston, in this. See you guys next time. I really hope you're doing okay, mentally good, physically good. And yeah, see you soon.